This your boy Diggavelli, man, and welcome back to the channel. And I don't know the craziest thing you seen today, but I'm pretty sure this is possibly it. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Back here on Live Now from Fox 132 on the East Coast and 1032 on the West Coast. I do want to get back into the headlines here, and a Florida mother accused of trying to hire a hitman to kill her 3-year-old son. The 18-year-old suspect appearing before a
Yeah, you heard that just like I did.
judge in Miami-Dade County charged with solicitation of murder and unlawful use of a communications device. Investigators say the woman had visited a parody hit-for-hire.
Nah, that's crazy. Like, I'm not sure what's going on with her face, if it's a medical condition or whatever. Um, that's pretty crazy. This whole situation is just crazy, man. Like, you just got people now that's just having kids, man, just because it just supposedly just comes with sex, and that's just not how things work, man. You should really sit down and consider these type of things, or you should just practice safe sex, man.
Website intended to assist law enforcement, asking that the boy be, quote, taken away, far, far, far away, and possibly killed, but ASAP.
Wow.
I do want to talk more about this investigation here and the case itself. I want to bring in Nima Rahmani, a former federal prosecutor, to discuss more about it. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to be here.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So first off, just kind of break down for me your thoughts as you hear about a case like this one.
Well, it's surprising that someone would actually be so dumb to go on a website and actually solicit a crime, much less murder of their own son. But, you never know what these criminals are going to do, Josh.
And she does face charges of solicitation.
And he's right. In 2023, you never know what people are gonna do. We're so polarized. People, like, we have a lot of mentally ill people just running around, and just the environment in general has not been good for years on end now, and the effects are really starting to show in society.
Of murder and unlawful use of a communications device. How serious are those charges, and what about a possible penalty here?
Josh, they're very serious. You're talking about many, many years in state prison there in Florida. And this whole case gives me Casey Anthony vibes. I mean, someone that doesn't want their child, especially, the child was being taken care of by the grandmother. So I don't understand the reasoning for this. Obviously, here's a young woman, probably wasn't ready or prepared, but I don't think she was even taking a whole lot of responsibility for this child. So this is someone that I think is going to have to either plead or be convicted, because it's a pretty strong case in terms of the evidence, and she's likely going to do prison time.
What factor, if any, would her age play?
And do prison time.
Any would.
And she's like pretty strong case. And
let me get a picture real quick. That is crazy, man. So this woman wasn't even taking care of her own kid, her own 3-year-old. Her mother was, or whichever parent mother was. They just said grandmother, so I'm not sure. But man, like, you're not even taking care of your responsibilities. The 3-year-old doesn't even live with you, and you're trying to hire a hitman to kill the 3-year-old kid. We really need help in society. We really need help.
Because it's a pretty strong case in terms of the evidence, and she's likely going to do prison time.
What factor, if any, would her age play into this? Because she is 18 years old, so she is legally an adult, but kind of just barely.
She's a very young woman, obviously. I mean, she's old enough to be charged with a crime, murder even, or solicitation, and these types of very serious felonies. Minors can also be charged as well, but she is an adult, so she's going to be treated like one. But that being said, I'm assuming that she has little to no criminal history, probably no history of violence. So that's something that's going to inure to her benefit if she does plead and accept responsibility. Maybe a judge may give her some sort of leniency.
And her bond was set at $15,000, and she was released there. How exactly does, just in your experience, a
$15,000 bond and release after trying to get your 3-year-old killed? What? I've seen people have higher bonds for, like, not even that much weed, man. Like, for getting caught with a little bit of weed, man. Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Judge determine in a case like this whether she is considered to be dangerous and whether she should have the chance to be released pending trial, a plea, really anything?
She's absolutely dangerous.
Bond does seem low, in my opinion, but when judges are considering whether to release a criminal defendant on bond, they really look at two factors: risk of flight and danger to the community. I assume this is a young woman that has ties to the community. She's probably lived in Florida most, if not all, of her life. And, you know, as far as danger, again, someone that has no criminal history, no history of violence, those are factors that are going to lead a judge to grant some sort of bond, which is what happened here.
Does it seem like in this case, because we're talking about the evidence, including the fact that she reportedly signed up for this website, sent a photo of her child, does the evidence seem kind of cut and dry in this case, or is there a lot more to it?
It's a very strong case, Josh, and this digital footprint, this is something that has helped law enforcement significantly. I mean, there's too many cases to name, but just recently, Carly Russell, the Long Island serial killer, these are individuals that were apprehended because, in large part, their internet search.
I never knew Long Island had a serial killer, man. We're gonna have to look that topic up. And this is recent. Recent.
Of course, Russell hasn't been charged yet, but you know that digital footprint. I mean, it tracks your phone, it tracks your IP addresses, cell site evidence. So all that information, I assume, is going to tie directly to this young woman. So she's not going to be able to say, "Hey, it wasn't me."
What happens next in the case? Is it likely that a case like this ever actually goes to trial, or since we're not talking about murder specifically and we're saying solicitation of murder, could it potentially end in a plea of some kind?
And can I just say, thank God that happened to the kid, man.
I think it very likely will end in a plea. Only 1% to 2% of cases go to trial in any given year. And usually there's a reason they go. There's an issue with evidence, or there's a novel issue of law that has to be litigated. But here you have a woman that's really caught red-handed. I'm trying to hire someone to kill her kid or to take the kid very, very far away. So this is not the type of case that a criminal defense attorney or a public defender in this case can really defend on the merits. So I fully expect her to plead, get some sort of prison sentence, and then hopefully she could, when she's out, she can be rehabilitated and live the rest of her life as a law-abiding citizen.
One thing that stood out to me is this fake website, the parody website, and according to investigators, the operator of the website was working with law enforcement there. Is that something that happens fairly commonly? Because that to me almost sounds like, hey.
And like, no disrespect to nobody, man, but you have to be of a certain type, of a certain degree of intelligence, if you get me, to actually just look up a rent for hire website and just click on it and apply to get that done. Like, literally, did y'all just look at the advertising for this thing? Who would actually apply on a website like that? Like I said, man, you have to be a certain type of genius to do that. Incredible.
To me, almost sounds like, hey, you've set up this website and, you know, if you sign up for it, hey, I'm giving it right to police. So is that something that is that common?
It's not common, Josh. Not something that you typically see, because normally criminals aren't this dumb to go on a website and hire a hitman. I mean, this is a first even for me, and I've been doing this for more than 20 years. So I'm surprised something like this worked, but I guess you never know what criminals are going to do, or folks that are really desperate.
Is it possible she ever gets custody of this kid again? I don't know if you can speak to that, but I would imagine the answer is no.
No, I mean, no question. When you do something like this, your child's going to be taken away from you. Even if you drive under the influence of drugs or alcohol and your children are in the car, I mean, that's a ground to take the rights. But in a case like this, what will happen is the state will actually terminate her parental rights, which means that she no longer has the child, and then they'll place the child with grandma, another relative, or in foster care. So it's really sad. Obviously, you know, we have a young child who's going to be the victim in a case like this, but I wouldn't expect her to ever have custody of her child again. And once those rights are terminated, it's like she never had the child.
Wow. All right, Nima Rahmani, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Anything else you want to add about this case before I let you go?
No, just a really sad case, and again, reminds me of
Definitely
just
is.
Casey Anthony, an infamous case down there from Florida, where there's so many opportunities where a parent, if you don't want your child, there's safe harbor provisions. You can leave it at a fire station, police station. So there's a lot that you could do to help your kid, even if you don't want the child. And unfortunately, we're seeing more of these murder and solicitation of murder type cases, and it's really sad.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you again for taking the time to join us. We appreciate it.
Incredibly sad, man. And I've personally been seeing a lot of those cases pop up lately, and it's just so unfortunate. The loss of life, period. I feel like a lot of us were given the opportunity of life, and we shouldn't take that from other people. But that's just my personal opinion. Everybody think for themselves. Well, y'all seen it like I seen it, man. I'm out.